the truth is we need to change. And a lot of companies are looking for ways to gain the heart of the consumer and to win business by building a strong emotional relationship with consumers. And I brought some small examples to illustrate that, like this one. Can anybody guess what this is? Plates, exactly, Antje. More important, what's on the plates? Any wild guesses? Drawings with? Ketchup, very good. Do you like ketchup? Which brand of ketchup is this? Heinz. We all know that it's Heinz ketchup. It's amazing. You don't see a brand, we think of ketchup, and we know it's Heinz. Strong. Maybe you had the same problem with Heinz that I had over the last few years. You know, when you use those glass, very beautiful, iconic bottles, you know, you have to turn them around and you have to hit them extremely hard to get the ketchup out, and then it's always a surprise what will happen, you know. You're very self-confident if you use such a bottle before an important meeting or before you have to go to court, because you may look differently after you used it. That's why they used or invented those squeezable bottles. But let's be honest, those first bottles were a big disaster as well. You know, you pushed them and the ketchup was everywhere, besides at the point where you wanted the ketchup to be. But there's good news. They have some good news. They developed the perfect bottle. And you can really aim with it. And then as a marketeer, there are two ways to bring that to the market. You can make a beautiful commercial in which you are saying, look guys, we made the perfect bottle. After 100 years of research, we figured it out. Go out and buy it. Or you can ask some fans of Heinz and ask those fans, guys, take a bottle and try it out. Take a plate, try to make a drawing, and you will see how good it is. And if you like your drawing, put it on Facebook, share it with your friends, and the person with most likes on that picture, you know, we will give them ketchup for free for the rest of their life, probably. Something like that. But the philosophy behind this, you know, it's a very small, cute example, but the philosophy behind it is fantastic. Because you're not saying about yourself that you're amazing and wonderful and beautiful, but you let other people say that you're amazing, wonderful, and beautiful. And one way or another, we trust other people more than when we trust the real source. And let's park that system in our head for a second, and let's look at this example. We all see what this is, right? This is a Porsche, but it's a special one. It is somewhere in a museum in Germany, because you can see that it's a little bit strange in design, you know? It's with those little sparks on it. Those sparks are 2 million pictures of their 2 million Facebook fans. They just pulled them from the internet, probably against all copywriting law. They just took those pictures without asking those 2 million people, can we use them? They placed them on the car, and then they said to those 2 million people, look what we've done. To thank you, because you're a fan of our brand, we made this special car for you. It's in a museum in Germany. That was already something that people really liked, but they have done something genius with it. They added a Find Yourself locator. And when I saw this, I had to think back to the times of analog photography. Do you still remember analog photography? I see some people looking in a strange way to me. You know, those were the times when we printed out pictures and we put them in some sort of album, and then we had to look at them like this instead of like this. You know, that was 12 years ago, not so long ago. And I have to tell you, my father, he was a photographer here in Belgium. And when I got married 12 years ago, it was like a big prestige project, you know, the son of the photographer in a small town that got married. So I have 2 of those big books at my house. And then in Belgium, it's a tradition that after you have the pictures, you invite your family over, and they have to watch those pictures. And they come over, and then they see those 2 books. And then they think, oh no. This will be a very long afternoon, but then I give them good food and good wine or champagne to compensate that for a little bit. But then I love to observe people, and I observed them, and when they had to go through those albums, it went extremely fast. It went like this. But suddenly they slow down. Do you know when they slow down? Yes. Exactly. The moment when we see ourselves on a picture, we slow down and we watch carefully how good we look. It's very strange. If you observe people, we have to admit that our favorite subject to talk about is ourselves. And our favorite object to watch are pictures where we are on. We never admit it, but if you look to our behavior, it's exactly what we are doing. Of course, not you guys, but all other people in the world behave like that, you know? And that's why this is very smart, because they let people talk about themselves through Porsche. And that's an interesting system. Let's park that as well in our head. And my last warming up example is this one. Can you guess what this is? It's in a clothing store somewhere in Brazil. And you know, at the tools where they put the clothes on, you see a figure. And that figure are the amount of Facebook likes that that product has. So what they do is they combine the online and the offline world together and add value through that. They add value offline with the online content. And I like to use this example to tell you that there is no such thing as an online world. Still, a lot of people think that you have two worlds. The group with people who are on Facebook and the group of people who are not on Facebook. And some people tell me, Stephen, Facebook is not important to me because my audience is not on Facebook. And that's like a very limited way of thinking, because that would mean that people who are on Facebook never meet people who are not on Facebook. And that people who are on Facebook never talk about stuff that they see on Facebook with people that are not on Facebook. That would mean that there's never something in the newspaper that started on Facebook or Twitter. In fact, let's turn it around. Check a newspaper today and wonder how many of those stories started online. Breaking news is gone. CNN lost their competitive advantage of breaking news. Today you have tweeting news. How did you find out that Whitney Houston was dead? Maybe somewhere in a newspaper, but it started online. There was someone working in the hotel where she was found dead. That person had a Twitter account with 14 followers. And she tweeted it. Oh no, they just found Whitney Houston in a hotel room. She's dead, to 14 people. 5 minutes later, the entire world knew that Whitney Houston was dead. There's no more breaking news, it's tweeting news. There's no online world and there's no offline world. It's just one world that is completely connected with each other. And we need to take that into account, that that is the context that we're working in today. And because of that conclusion, you know, even though I talked a lot about Facebook and Twitter in the introduction, it's not about social media, what's going on. And it's also not about technology, it's about something more important. It's about people who change their behavior. And it is about knowing, in today's world, what the most impactful way of communication is. Do you know? What is the form of communication that has the highest influence on somebody's perception? What is the form of communication that changes the reputation of a company in the fastest way? Can you guess? Exactly. Word of mouth. It's as old as the street. People who talk to each other is the best and the most impactful form of advertisement we have in the world. And when this event took place in my house, I re-understood the power of word of mouth. This is my living room. My wife is on there. My mom is on there. Some aunts, some friends of my wife, some people I didn't know who just showed up in our house that day. The briefing that I had that I received from my wife that day was very clear and very strict. Well, I could stay, but I had to do some chores. I had to take care of the drinks, and then I had to work in my office, you know. But my office, it's an open space, so I was sitting there and I was trying to work, but of course I couldn't, because on the one hand I was a little bit intimidated by having 14 women there in your living room going crazy about plastic jars. But on the other hand, I was listening to them, and I was really surprised that people can have fun and can have the time of their life by talking about plastic jars for 3 or 4 hours. And I thought, this is fun. And then suddenly the volume of conversations went up. And I thought, what's going on there? So I checked around the corner, and you know what they were doing? They were buying. You know, that was the highlight, the top moment of that evening. They were buying products, and the social pressure was so high that everybody ordered plastic jars like crazy. I've never seen a group being so enthusiastic about such a simple product and spending so much money on it. And it was like an amazing moment for me, because I wrote 2 books about word-of-mouth marketing, and I thought everything that is written in my books, it's true. But today it's happening in my own house, and I felt the power of word-of-mouth, and it made me extremely happy. But what I didn't fully understood yet is that at that moment the story wasn't finished yet. Because today we're 6 months later, and you can guess what happened between that night and tonight, of course. There were 2 more Tupperware parties by 2 of the people who were in our house that day. And they had their own party. And you can guess who went over to that party, right? Yeah, she did. And you know what she came home with? Exactly. We had to rearrange our kitchen during Christmas holidays to make sure that everything was still ordered in a proper fashion. It was very a hard task that we had to rearrange the kitchen. And I thought, this is amazing. You know, probably Tupperware has the best business model in the world, because I don't know any other company that is not investing in advertisement. They spend €0 on advertisement. Every employee is a salesperson. And every client is also a salesperson. There are not that many companies in the world that succeed in that. And it's something to think about. How does it work, and how can we use that in our industry? And the starting point is understanding the power of word of mouth. You know, the word of mouth is the reason why the good restaurants are full and the bad restaurants are empty. In today's world, I don't know if there's anyone here who dares to admit that they still book hotel rooms without secretly watching TripAdvisor or Booking.com or any other review site. I don't know if those people still exist. If they do, they're like trying to torture themselves. You know, they want to find out if the reviews on TripAdvisor are true or not. I don't want to torture myself, you know. I just book hotels with a score that is higher than 8.5 on a 10-point scale. And you find them in any price category. And you know what the crazy thing is? Sometimes people tell me, yeah, but Steven, you have to be very, very careful with TripAdvisor because some of the reviews can be fake. And is it all true? You know, I don't know. And probably there's a lot of fake stuff on it. But that's not the important question. The important question is, does it influence me in my buying behavior? And the answer is very simple, yes, it does. And that's the only thing that counts in this discussion, the power of word of mouth. And you know what the strange thing is? That most CEOs that I meet, most managers that I meet, they fully understand the power of word of mouth, but they are not managing it. And that's why we create a lot of unused conversation potential in our companies. We're doing great things, but we're not watching the world from the point of view that word of mouth has a lot of potential. And that's why we miss out on a lot of small things and we miss out on a lot of big things.